Alex Karp recently did an interview with Yahoo Finance. This interview took place, I believe, before AIP Con 4 started, and he had a lot of bullish things to say that we must talk about. I'm going to leave the link to the whole interview in the description. I will leave the link to the whole interview in the description below, but I just wanted to spend a little bit of time picking out some of the highlights from this interview in case you don't have time to watch it all, and actually digesting them and talking about what they mean and why we should care as Palantir investors. So the interviewer starts by asking Alex Karp to describe AIP, Artificial Intelligence Platform, which could be a very simple thing to describe, but also a very, very difficult thing to describe, depending on how much detail you want to go in. And Alex Karp basically goes on to say that there's a lot of hype around LLMs, around large language models in the enterprise space. But he pointed out that most of them on offer are just not that useful. They're not really doing much. The outcome isn't changing very much, and it's very expensive for enterprises to actually have them. But he says what Palantir have been able to do with their 20 plus years of experience in software is actually figure out how to use LLMs, large language models, like I said, to give value, to change margins, to save lives, to help on the battlefield, and the list goes on. And this isn't just hearsay. We've seen the evidence of this. AIP Con Days. Customers coming out and saying how AIP, how Palantir solutions have actually impacted on a big scale. And Dr. Karp has said that time and time again. Show, don't tell. And that's exactly what Palantir have been doing. Then he went on to give quite a big statement. And you know what? I do think I agree with this. He said all the value in the market is going to go to chips and ontologies. We've already seen it happen with chips. You know, NVIDIA have had a crazy surge. And he also said that that will not only happen with chips, but also ontology. So I guess he was saying watch this space. He explains how Palantir's ontology allows individuals and businesses to take an LLM and use it, refine it, and then impose it onto their enterprise, all whilst upholding the most secure security. And then in true Alex Karp fashion, he hit us with this one-liner. As opposed to the alternative, which is that you buy some LLM, you party with it basically, and then the next day you have a hangover. And like I said, this was a very, very bullish interview, because then he went on to say that Palantir are sitting on the only thing that actually creates quantifiable, transformational value within an enterprise. That's a massive statement to be making. He made the point that you've only got to look at the AIP Con Days, which I think is absolutely true. They are not paying their customers to be there to talk about Palantir solutions and how good they're being. These customers want to come and they want to talk about the value that they are seeing and the outcomes that they are having. The conversation then shifted into geopolitics. He said, without mentioning where these things are actually used, LLMs plus Palantir's ontology can be welded and create massive efficiencies, especially when it comes to small armies versus large armies. He then spoke about the really big $480 million Maven contract that we found out that Palantir recently got. That was a Department of Defense contract for 5 years, and it was under the Maven project. The Maven project is just basically the US Army's effort to actually advance its Maven smart system. The Maven smart system utilizes artificial intelligence, it utilizes computer vision to basically enhance the battlefield assessments that they can make and target identifications. But what's really important for Palantir investors is that the US, and I'm sure this is happening around the world as well, is actually increasing the amount of money that they are spending within their budget on AI. And this is happening both commercially speaking, but also the military budgets for AI are going up. The portion of the military budget that is now being spent on software is actually increasing versus hardware, because for a very long time, obviously, a lot of the budget in the military was going to hardware. The world is now shifting. The world is now shifting towards software, and that is exactly what we're seeing in military budgets. But this is still not loads, but it's increasing. I read as well, actually, that the US military actually tripled their spending from 2022 to 2023. And I expect this trend to only expand. And then we have to ask ourselves, okay, well, which companies are actually benefiting from these trends that we're seeing? it's going to be companies like Palantir, Lockheed Martin, and so on. These trends that are driven by the need to stay ahead of competition due to the geopolitical issues that we're seeing and the landscape and how that's evolving just means that Palantir can basically drive forward on their mission, and also they can benefit from the point of view of growth and revenue. If you watched the entire interview and I'm missing anything that's really important, do let me know in the comments below.